All right, let's talk about a hip or glute dominant squat. They are the same thing. When we are squatting, our knees and our hips are both flexing. Our knees are bending, our hips are bending. And so whichever one of those we do more, or whichever one of those we emphasize, will decide if we're emphasizing more glutes or more quads. And so when we have a hip dominant squat or a glute dominant squat, that means we're gonna have more hip flexion than knee flexion. When we want to work our quads, we're gonna have more knee flexion, less hip flexion. And so for this glute dominant squat, we are thinking send the hips back. Not entirely unlike you would do in an RDL, it'll look something like this. So I'm letting my chest fall forward as my hips go back, and I'm letting my knees travel forward, just not too much. I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. They try and do this big RDL movement. It's not an RDL, you are still squatting, and so the knees will travel forward, just not as much as they would in a quad dominant squat. I'll show you guys with the barbell, and then you guys are on your way. As far as feet position and using the wedges are purely a personal preference. If you feel like you have better balance when you send your hips back, when you use the wedges, by all means use them. I know that you're gonna try the wedges and you are gonna know immediately if they are helping or hurting. There's nothing special about using the wedges for a hip dominant squat. The main reason to use the wedges is for a knee dominant squat. However, I have found with clients over the years that when they send their hips back and try and do a hip dominant squat, it can be helpful to have the wedge as well. It makes it a little bit less likely that you'll fall backwards. So give it a shot, but it's definitely not special. You can do it with your feet, just plant it on the ground, it's gonna be totally fine. As far as how wide I want your feet, roughly shoulder width with your toes roughly facing forward. A little bit of external rotation is okay. So you can tell I'm out of breath. Just a couple of reps here. So feet shoulder width, facing roughly forward, a little bit of external rotation is okay, but definitely none of this wide sumo stance stuff. That really just works the adductors a lot more, which isn't necessarily what we're doing right now. And so feet shoulder width, toes facing mostly forward, a little bit of external rotation is okay. Send the hips back, let the chest descend, let the knees travel forward a little bit. Don't go so low that you lose that neutral spine, and come back up. We'll do a couple more reps, and then you guys are on your way here.